Okay, so we, of course, maybe we can allow you a quick 30-second about what you do, because I think what you do is really interesting in the space that you're in, at learning in schools.
Assalamu alaikum to everyone. With the great name of Allah, my name is Waseem Mahomed. I am the CEO and principal of Kathrada Online Academy. I'm sure many have heard of the academy. It's a futuristic and pioneer online schooling solution that offers various curricula in various ways to the schooling sector. So largely based in education. I think that's about 30 seconds.
I think you do, yes. And I must tell you, those that have been online, I have had very impressive feedback.
Alhamdulillah.
I can tell you about it offline, let's put it that way, right? Thank you. Okay, let's get to the big issues here in the 10 minutes. AI implications for Islam, business and education. Perhaps I should start with you, right?
So with regards to AI implications for Islam, and I'll start by saying that this has been a wonderful conference. I think that the inclusion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not I think, I'm certain that the inclusion of Allah will really take this to the next level. And the technology at the moment is, it shouldn't be that technology should be a replication of Western systems, but Allah is the wrapper. Rather, Allah is the core and the focus, and technology is the wrapper. So I think the more inclusion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, remember that we are products of Allah. And the products we create, Allah owns by virtue of His declaration in the Quran, that Allah is Rabbul Alameen. He is the Lord of all the worlds. So including the ones and zeros and anything that emanates from that, AI, large language models, neural networks, machine learning, robotics, all that Allah owns. So it doesn't operate exclusionary to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So understanding that and knowing that Allah is in control of all things, and hopefully there's more inclusion. I hope that everyone takes this message back to wherever you operate as leaders. The implications for education is it's going to rewrite the fabric of education. Much like how the Gutenberg printing press rewrote it. There were many who said that, how will it work? Because education was heart to heart, and now it's transferred to books, which is inanimate or soulless. So this is very similar to that, in a sense that now it's just based in a digital format, and with a large language model, is able to replicate a very human way of presenting that data to others. So one of the speakers mentioned earlier that those who incorporate AI into their methodologies and their frameworks as teachers in their teaching methodology will be better than those that don't. So AI will play a large role in there. In some of the other implications, I think it perpetuates some of the problems we already have, inequalities. Those who have will access, those who don't have won't access. It will just make that even worse, compound it. I think some of the other things like the cost factor, the green effect, privacy, how will your data be used, who will use it and for what interests and purposes, hallucinations and what type of things will be produced there. Bearing in mind that today is the worst AI will ever be. So it's going to constantly get better. And at some point, in fact, rather it should have been in the past that we had to integrate this, and if we own the stack, not owned it from replicating a Western one, but rather taking Allah as the core and then putting tech and AI as the wrapper and then provisioning this to education. I think that would be ideal. I think the worst implication from a very human point of view as a father, and I say this as a father, perhaps many of you here are fathers, grandfathers, that it's going to propagate laziness in children. Children are dopamine seekers, and I fully resonate with the why culture. And you do have many learners who Roblox, Fortnite, Instagram, the doom scrolling is so addictive because of the dopamine. So AI does that. It just makes it easier to answer exams, generate speeches, do homework for you, and it's going to perpetuate and propagate these kind of issues.
Okay, we'll pause there, right? Just to remind you again, although it's a very short 10 minutes in total, so probably 4 minutes gone. If you want to ask a question, scan, drop the question, we'll take it right away. The topic is AI implications for Islam business education. I'm going to cut it shorter because of time. Nazareen, let's just say, stick with Islam. AI implications for the Islamic world. What's your understanding?
AI implications for the Islamic world is we don't lose our sense of self. As professionals or as people, we generally tend to define ourselves by the roles that we play. And those are through business, usually, or through any kind of professional affiliation we have. Living in the country that we do, but also looking at the geopolitical dynamics and the current narrative in the world around who we are as Muslims, what people are understanding about Muslims, how they are standing up for Palestine from quarters we never thought we'd see support from the ICC now issuing arrest warrants for Netanyahu and Yoav Gallant, I think it is. So taking into considerations those, the impact is that this is a foundational technology. It is a technology that's all-encompassing. It's our next revolution. It's all of those things that we've talked about through the course of the day that has given rise to new ways of human development. And this is a human development. But again, the sense of self, I think, is what is at the core of asking the right questions and maintaining sense of self by learning about the religion even better and asking the right questions. Again, I keep going back to that because it makes sense. If you interrogate, it means you believe better. So that's always been a philosophy for me as a Muslim. I'm always asking. So my faith is deepened and strengthened because of that. I may have a personal relationship with God, but that's got to transition into things. And that thing is my dealings with people and what I do for a business. So, very much, I think it's very introspective at this point.
Okay. In fact, I'm going to ask the same question to the other two guys as well. Just AI for the Islamic world, the implications. Bilal?
As far as the Islamic world, I think we should reframe the question. I think we should ask ourselves, how is the Muslim community going to impact AI? Not the other way around. Because as long as we've got brilliant researchers like
Naweed, yeah.
Like Naweed, we need to take charge of this now. This is an emerging technology, and it's an opportunity for us as a Muslim community to bring back the spirit of the golden age. And that's a challenge to you, that take this thing into a direction that it becomes useful to mankind, right? From my perspective, when it comes to education, and this is something I was asked in a keynote that I was doing at the Department of Basic Education. Somebody asked me the same question. I says, well, education needs to change to catch up with AI, because education is outdated. There's all those questions about plagiarism and things. I think we are the only institute in the world that encourages our students to use AI in the assessments and things, as long as they know what they are creating using the AI. So I think when you look at Islam, we as Muslims should not be asking the question, how is AI going to impact us? We should reframe that question.
Okay, but all right, I'll come back to you on that one. Go ahead, your thoughts?
I love the reframing completely, because I pose a question to you and the rest of the panel. What is the Islamic world? Because isn't the whole world Islamic? Isn't everything within Allah's domain? So the question really is, and I love the idea there, that we need to be influencing the world. And I've yet to see professionals within the space that are on the world stage in front of everybody saying, we are leading in these particular ways. We are on the forefront of these particular subdomains, and we are the ones who are actively contributing the best of our thinking. I don't see Muslims there. And I think that's part and parcel of the problem that we face, is we are stuck in these small communities. We focusing only on our local problems as opposed to treating our local problems to the point where we scale them
Okay,
out.
so I hear you. So if we get what you're saying, just let's turn it on its head. What then needs to happen for the Muslim, and I'll say the word Muslim world for now. We are talking Ummah Tech, right? What needs to happen then for the Muslim world to be able to influence AI thinking and take it forward? Bilal?
So I think we need to prepare the next generation from now. That kid who's in grade 1, that's the kid we need to be targeting as a Muslim community to say, how is this person going to be tomorrow's leader in the space of AI? I mean, I'm 75 model, I'm already 50 years old, I'm over the hill. But those kids are going to drive the future. So if we give them that why, and we give them the responsibility to say that, look, you are going to need to make the world a better place using AI, because it has that capacity, either to make the world a horrible place, like Naz was explaining earlier, AI being used to create chemical weapons, or it can be used to solve so many socio-economic problems. So we need to train the younger, and this is a challenge to the schools, Qurtuba and all the Muslim schools. What are you doing now to prepare that next generation?
Okay, let's get an answer. You must be arguing about that now.
Yeah, and I think it's a bit of a process, and at the same time, I'm just thinking of all the speakers, and I think the culmination of what they've brought to the table is part of the solution. I think it starts off with Allah, number one. Number two is education, which mingles with number three is ownership of the entire stack. And finally, at the end, that's when you gain dominance and sovereignty in the world. If you look at the powers that be that control the stacks, that's exactly what they are doing. So it's Allah, education, ownership of this decks, and just keep on building more and more and more. And you will then outdance and outplay everyone else in the field.
Okay, just two very quick questions as we wrap up. Thoughts on AI tools for Muslims, such as, and I hope I've got this right, Tartil.ai, is that right? Who wants to answer that? Anybody knows?
I'm familiar with the Tartil.ai. It's an excellent AI app. In fact, my son who's doing tahfidh of Quran sometimes uses it. I check him with his earphones. Essentially, it's an app where if you are reciting, it will be able to pick up where you are making a mistake. Not just in terms of pronunciation or the correct word, but even your tajweed. Again, it opens up how well tested is it? And if a child relies on it, and remember the word of Allah is protected word for word. And even if it hallucinates and makes a 0.1% mistake, that's incorrect. So although we do use it, it needs to be moderated. Again, it comes down to those who use AI will be better than those who don't use
Okay.
it.
And just the very, very last question. You guys got 30 seconds each, okay? Because it goes to both of you. In fact, Naz and Naweed, right? What is the future of human AI collaboration looking like? That means how will it impact the job market? You want to go first, and then you got 30 seconds, yeah.
I think it looks something like this movie that was done in 2023 called The Creator, which envisioned a world in 2063 where the US, who are always trying to save the world, were against a combination of AI and humans with a mix of robots. So half human, half robot, some AI component. That's very long looking. But the collaboration is what we make it as humans. So
It has to be a collaborative thing. Yourself, Naweed?
It's always going to be collaborative. It just depends on where within the stack you actually sit. If it's deep within the AI system itself, I'm going to say things are going to get a hell of a lot more complicated very quickly. These systems are starting to become more abstract. Basically, we don't know how these things operate. As a practitioner, I'm telling you, I don't know how this thing works. And everybody who says they does, I guarantee you, they don't. It's a problem. But it's because it fundamentally works different from humans. We shouldn't anthropomorphize it. But let's put in a whole bunch of guardrails within it. I don't want to predict how things go because I'm not in the business of prediction. I leave that to Allah. But ultimately, I think we as a community need to contribute guardrails when it comes to what are our ethics, what are the tasks, and how do we find where do these things fail according to our Islamic values.
Got that. I'll give you 30 seconds. Jobs and AI.
So I think there's two sides to it. On one hand, it's like Naveed said earlier, we need to be careful in his talk. We need to be careful about the hype around AI. There is a lot of hype, and it's very financially motivated in terms of what it's going to be capable of. I think personally that AI is going to be a very powerful tool for business, scientific research, education, but it's going to plateau. I think, and this is my prediction, I'm actually going to do a brave thing and make a prediction here. It's already plateauing in terms of its capabilities. And there are a number of reasons which I won't get into now that I feel that AI is going to... Okay, we saw the spike, and then now we're going to see a plateau, maybe a spike after a few decades. But, and then in terms of jobs, you know, with technology, it always takes away certain jobs, but it creates other opportunities.
They will come. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's leave it at that. Thanks to all four of you. Thank you very much. Much appreciated.